most famous physical therapist on the internet.
Howdy, folks. I'm Bob Trump, physical therapist.
Brad Handheld, physical therapist.
Together, we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Today, our title is a loved one developing dementia? So we have 3 tests you can do to find out. And these are pretty well-tested tests.
Yeah, they've been around for years,
Years.
many years.
So if you're new to our channel, please take a second to subscribe to us. We provide videos how to stay healthy, fit, and free, and we upload every day. Also, if you get a chance, go to bobandbrad.com. Go to the giveaway section. We're always giving something away. This week we're giving away a handheld massager.
That's right, Bob.
This is awesome. You know, if you've got some aches and pains and you have trouble getting them to them, you got the handle. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I did have a knot there before.
All right. Well, you can also go to Facebook. It'll be pinned to the top of the page, the contest. Go to Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok if you want a 60-second version of our program.
There you go, Bob. Thank you.
So Brad and I, in our practice, always would also work in nursing homes.
Sure.
You know, we were seeing outpatients, but we were also seeing patients that come into a nursing home and they're doing rehab, hopefully to go home.
Right.
And one of the tests done by, or some of the tests done by our occupational therapist was to determine whether or not they had the cognitive power to be at home.
Right.
You know, we're gonna make right decisions.
Right. Could they figure their checkbook? Can they answer the phone and have a effective conversation
Using
with
the
someone?
stove.
Yeah.
Can they handle their medicine?
Right.
Like, can they organize their medicine, or do they need to have someone come in and do that for them?
Right.
So all these things are very important. So I've been hearing these tests be done for years. Like you hear them in the background and like sometimes I think, boy, I don't know if I'd pass that test. But there's 3 tests that are commonly used by our occupational therapists that actually are available for free. And I got the website. It'll link will be down below. It's www.myotspot.com. And then I have the rest of it, the links, so you get right to the tests.
Sure.
Because they're a little bit hard to find on that site.
So it's a long, you'll see it down there. You can type it all in and get you there.
Yeah, and they actually have 5 tests that, and again, you can print it out. The one has instructions on how to use it.
Yeah.
And the reason I did this is because my mom, she's 90 years old, and she's doing pretty well. She's living in independent living yet. But my couple sisters, and they all are thinking, why does she need to be in assisted living?
Sure.
So I did the test on her. I did the short blessed test. I don't know where that comes. Blessed.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a good test, Bob, obviously.
Yeah, it is a good test. Again, I've heard it being mentioned by OTs for years. And I did it to her, and she passed with flying colors, Brad. I was really happy. I didn't think she would.
But you didn't do it to yourself.
I didn't do it to myself. My mom only has an 8th grade education, both my mom and dad. So, but she's a smart lady.
Right,
you know,
right.
She's no dummy.
Right.
So,
you can self-educate quite well.
Right. So we're going to mention the 3 tests and give just a few questions from there.
Okay.
So you can kind of get a sense of what it's like. So,
yeah,
Brad, do you want to start with the short blessed?
Sure. The first one, I think, they start out easier and get more difficult. It's what year is it now? And the person responds. And you circle correct or incorrect.
Yep.
Number 2, what month is it now? So a little more detailed. Now this one here,
this is the tough one to me. This is the one my mom had trouble with. She got most of it, but she, at the end.
You'll see. Please repeat this name and address after me as you speak to your the person being tested. John Brown, 42 Market Street, Chicago.
And they're supposed to repeat it, and then you say it again. John Brown, 42 Market Street, Chicago. They repeat it again. And then you have them repeat it one more time. And now we tell them to remember that name and address for a few minutes.
Okay.
And again, we hear occupational therapists saying this all the time. And then at the end, after you've been distracted, they ask you the name again. And my mom got most of it, but she missed the 42, which is all right. But So anyway, all right. How about one last one? This is the one I was proud of my mom that she got. You need say the months of the year in reverse order.
Yeah.
So December, November, October. Yeah, you got to think a little bit on that
Right.
one. So
Yeah.
all right, so that's the short blessed test, and yeah, I don't know where that name came from, but and then this name, all these names, you got to get a kick out of them.
The nice thing about these tests is they give you information
Yeah, the blessed test.
through each question, and it as the tester, you if you have a question that maybe you would understand it, it gives you a little explanation on how to
It does on this one. It doesn't on these, but I don't think you need it on these.
right for the blessed test.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And then for
They,
scoring
they
it,
got scoring.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very complete. So you don't have to go to a class to take
Right.
this.
Right.
Just take your time with it, go through it, and you'll be able to do it with your
Yeah. Yeah.
with your loved
Check
one
it
or
out.
whoever.
See if they're safe at all. I mean, if you're, like on the blessed, if you're, let's see what the final results are here. If you have normal cognition, you're 0 to 4. My mom was right on that 4. If you have questionable impairment, you're 5 to 9.
Sure.
And so that you still might be able to be at home.
Yep.
And if you have 10 or more, then it's consistent with dementia. So
And the idea to do this is I did this with my mother with some balance testing. Take this, put the date on it, and file it. Have some copies, so maybe in a year you can retest the
Yeah.
person and see if there's changes.
also, if they do test fairly high, meaning possible for dementia, then you would go to the doctor and have it assessed too.
Yep, have
Because
it someone professional do
Yeah,
it.
then they maybe do some. Next one's called the slums examination. Slum. What? I'm sure it's
Must be an acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all capital letters.
Want to give a couple questions from there, Brad?
Sure. Again, the first one start out easy. What day of the week is it? Number 2, what year? What is the year? Number 3, what state are we in? You want to go to the more difficult one?
Number 4, I think that's a fairly tough one. It says, please remember these 5 objects: apple, pen, tie, house, car. Yeah, I'd have to visualize them.
Yeah,
and put
right.
them together. Otherwise,
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
Yep.
The other one I thought was kind of tough is please name as many animals as you can in a minute. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I'm just not good on the spot like that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can kind of, especially if the person's a little nervous, they know
Right.
they're being tested. That changes things.
Yep, it does.
I like this part of the test. There's a round circle, and then you're supposed to draw the face of a clock on there. And so that's some cognitive things as well as some spatial things.
Right.
Right to left side, which as a therapist, you understand neurologically that can tell you some problems, particularly if they're possibly had a stroke, a mini stroke, and you can talk just fine, but when you draw the clock on there,
They draw half.
they only do half the clock. And it's
Or-
really amazing that
Yeah,
the person seems normal talking, but they can't, do the clock test.
right. It's been interesting seeing some of those results, and I have seen some of those.
Yeah.
But they ask you to put an actual time on there, 10 to 11.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's well, and then they have a story they tell you. You have to remember details on that. I thought that's pretty hard too, Brad. But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do score this if you have a high school education, and they also score it. They have a different set of scores for if you have less than a high school education.
Sure.
So you do have a little more leeway there. So,
So,
all right.
So that one has a total of 11 questions. The whole thing is going to take you, I would imagine, 10 or 15 minutes if
the
you
blessed
take your time.
took about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
and I would suggest that go through these, maybe go through it with a family member, so you feel comfortable with
so
it,
you know what? Yeah, exactly.
so you
Try
don't
it on
fumble
some-
around, because that can make someone nervous as well.
Yeah. The final one is called the Mini Mental State Examination, MMSE. That I looked at that one. Some reason I didn't like it.
Well, that one, I know the social workers that I've worked with use this one.
Oh, do they?
It's a quicker.
Yeah, it's not just occupational therapists. This one, you're right.
Right. I think it's more of a general. The other ones get a little more detailed on memory and maybe some other neurological aspects. This is
You're supposed to count backwards from 100 by sevens. I thought my mom would really have trouble with that one.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just But again, it might be the one that you think you could use, and it might be appropriate for your person. Maybe the person was an accountant, and that'd be a good question for them. Then.
Sure,
So,
sure. And the recall language aspect is on there. Um,
yep. So check them out. You know, they're all free, and you can give them a try. And we don't think you need any training to provide them. Maybe people are going to be mad at us, the OTs, for saying that. But I was able to do it, and I'm not that smart. So there we go. Remember, Brad and I can fix just about anything,
except for
a broken heart.
that's right.
So we'll work on it.